1 year after the first Cars game, we got Cars MATER National in 2007, which supposedly is a direct sequel to it. And as a sequel, of course you would see the return of Lightning McQueen, Mater, Doc, Sally. Oh wait, she is not here. But Chick is? No, he is not. Huh. It's weird that certain characters aren't here. I mean, after he was defeated in the first game, maybe he felt ashamed to even be alive and hid himself somewhere? Well, that would explain his absence in this game. But where did Sally go? Well, whatever. Missing characters is the least of our problems here, and you will see why. Now, I just need to show you some footage of the game for you to see how it looks. Compared to the first one, the visuals of Cars MATER National actually were improved a bit. The colors seemed a bit sharper, there is graphical improvements everywhere you look, and the cars themselves look less cartoony. Okay, that last point isn't actually an improvement in my eyes, because here the characters seem just like real cars with eyes. I mean, yeah, okay, that's what the franchise is about, it's about cars with eyes, but in the prequel they looked a bit more cartoony and less realistic because of it. It's weird to explain, I know, but in the first one they looked better. You continue to drive around in the 3 known areas, Radiator Springs, Ornament Valley and Tailfin Pass. While technically they are the same areas as in the prequel, developers Rainbow Studios still made the effort to not only upgrade them visually, but also change some sections of those areas for the sake of the new tracks introduced in here that are part of those areas. I mean, Radiator Springs continues to be a bit boring, mainly because of the monotonous brownish colors all around, but at least the new tracks are more distinct and more fun to race on. Because, as I've stated in the first game, and you can go check the video for that, the constant brownish colors of Radiator Springs made it a bit hard to distinguish where to go during certain races. Here, everything is a bit clearer. Well, for the most part. But of course, the city in Radiator Springs continues to be the highlight place of the whole game because it's your main area and it's the most colorful part of the game. Ornament Valley is always dark with a fairly decent place to race on, but mostly you should drive around as a monster truck because the sandy parts can be hard to drive as a car. This is also quite a nice improvement because the game actually distinguishes between tarmac and sand. Tailfin Pass continues to be the most interesting place to visit and race on because that area actually has more life in it, with trees and green everywhere you look, a bit more color all around, more sharp corners, and there seems to be a bit more activity across the board because this area as a whole is more compact. Now, this time around the story is even more bare bones than in the prequel. Heck, there actually is no story at all because MATER is just organizing a competition for cars to race on and yeah, that's it. There is no McQueen having to get back in shape, there is no Fast and Furious mission, there is no real rival, there is nothing here. Sure, there is Lightning's racing headquarters, but that building might as well not even exist because it doesn't play a role in the story at all. In that sense, I have to ask why this game even exists. Outside of the obvious cash grab. I mean, there are new characters like a new Italian, a German, a Brit, a Swede and a Japanese that will race against McQueen, but outside of the "I want to race, vroom vroom" attitude, there is nothing else to them. Meaning they have zero personality outside of wanting to race. These characters could have added more to the story or be important characters for the character development of Lightning McQueen or something like that. Or play an important role in Lightning's racing headquarters. But sadly, they are just here for the sake of it. One thing I liked, however, was the Japanese car, because he actually talked in Japanese. And no subtitles. So if you don't understand Japanese, then you won't understand what he says. But you see, that would still have been cool if all new drivers spoke in their native language instead of the language the game is on. Since I have the German version of the game, they all spoke German. And yes, it would also have been fine if the developers did not add subtitles, because that would make the point that racers don't need to understand each other's words since they talk and understand each other on the track. At least something like this would have added a bit more depth to the game. But as is, even compared to the prequel, the story is 2 steps back. New minigames are here that you unlock as you progress. That weird MATER minigame where he wakes up tractors is back, but I have no idea why, because this is probably the most boring and tedious game. You have a rhythm game where the timing seems slightly off, but not too bad. You have a gas tank whatever minigame where you have to collect gas to keep driving and do a minimum of 3 laps. You have something like capture the flag or something, where you need to steal the flag, I assume, from the opponent and get to the goal. You have a ghost game where you control matter that has to escape a blue light of some sort, which I assume is based on this short film, and quite a few more. On top of it, you will find some items that are spread around across all 3 areas, like new paint cans and rims for McQueen, which adds a bit more to the game. Of course, you will also need points to unlock other characters, new body paint for all characters, and graphics. And yes, the 2 main monsters from Monsters Inc. are in here as cars as well. Why? Yeah, I have no idea, but I think it was a really bad idea because these look massively out of place. But despite all the added minigames and whatever you can do here, for some massive areas like Radiated Springs, Ornament Valley and Tailfin Pass, the developers still didn't add all that much, because ultimately and especially Radiator Springs feels mostly empty and wastelandish. I just think they could have used all 3 areas more efficiently, like adding more to do, more to collect that makes sense in the world of cars, and so on. By the way, why didn't they add the best minigame from the first Cars game? You remember that Major Pain-like game where you need to drive a course and dodge obstacles? It's not in this game, despite the character himself making an appearance. Why? The driving physics were a bit more refined in the sense that the cars feel a bit heavier and they feel a bit more responsive as a result, at least compared to the first game. But still, they feel a bit too loose and simplistic for my liking, especially during the drifting where you barely need to countersteer at all to straighten up the car. The car's stats actually matter here because you will feel how different they are to drive, especially in the team battle. By the way, that team battle was a nice thing. It would have been cool though if you could have chosen your partner yourself instead of the game choosing for you. But hey, at least this game is quite a bit harder to beat than the prequel. Because even with the code Champion, the first game was easy as hell. But here, Professional can give you an okay challenge, and Champion can give you a very nice challenge, especially towards the end of the game. So, is this a better Cars game? Well, hard to say actually. The story is completely absent, the characters look less bubbly, let's say. Some are not even there, like Chick and Sally, and I prefer the layout of all three areas in the prequel. Overall though, they have improved on almost everything else. But still, it's a very short game. One that can easily be beat in one night, one day at best, even 100%. But hey, if you don't have much time to play anything, then this could be the right game for you. However, one final thing. McQueen's character is really off-putting here. Again, I haven't seen any of the movies, nor do I intend to, but the slight cocky attitude he had in the first game, which seemed like an important personality trait for him, here he has none of that. Instead, he constantly talks about sugar, spice and everything nice, and that makes him a very bland and really boring character. Meaning, McQueen's character is another negative point I would have about Cars MATER National. And it's things like these that bring this game down to the level of the first one, or maybe even worse, because otherwise this would have certainly been better than the prequel. But I would not say that it is.